Hello, Mzansi. Welcome to it as Hollywood Best once again brings you Game On, and there's so much to talk about in the beautifully South African game, what's happening out in Germany, as well as, of course, the game out in England. I am Caesar Mapena. We'll be joined by experts and legends in the way of James Kosana later on, but right now, Shane McGregor to discuss all that's happening in England, and we're in the business end of the season out in England. Now, the second half of the season, and my oh my, what results we had come Tuesday. Of course, there was the FA Cup last week, so games return midweek this week. For one, Nottingham Forest. Big talking point this season, and everybody wondered whether there'd be the business with a good test against them, and there's no bigger test than Liverpool right now. They go and play to a 1-1 scoreline.
Yeah, great result for them, you know. And, we've been watching them the whole season. I've been watching them particularly, and they're playing well. You know, he's got the team motivated, the coach I'm talking about, and he's got them playing well. No big names, no big stars, just got them playing to their ability and to their strengths. Got the result. Liverpool were lucky. I watched the game. They were very lucky to come away with the point.
Well, on Tuesday, we saw, 3 draws and 1 win. Chelsea, another side that's thereabouts in the top of the league. 2-2, their scoreline against Bournemouth in what turned out to be a tough home game for them.
Yeah, you know, we always talk about youngsters and playing youngsters and it catches up with you. And we all know about Chelsea. And, you know, they've gone through their bad patch. Bournemouth are a difficult team to beat. Don't get me wrong. So, for me, Chelsea just haven't got that little bit of extra. They need to bring in 1 or 2 more experienced players. But at the moment, you know, they're up there.
City have looked a side that's turning things around, turning the ship around and beginning to maybe find the necessary results, goals. They did find a couple of goals, but you've mentioned it time and again. Defensively, they're a problem. They scored 2 against Brentford, but the problem is they concede 2 as well.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's always the problem. If you're scoring 2 and you're conceding 2, it's not great, you know. But at the moment, defensively, they're all over the place. Pep, I'm not too sure what he's doing. I'm not too sure if he's trying to sort it out. Kyle Walker's now come out and said he wants to leave. So that's another interesting thing. But at the end of the day, you know, if you can't defend and you can't stop people scoring, you're not going to win games.
Then the results continued, of course, on Wednesday. Newcastle, 3-0 win over Wolves. Newcastle quietly gotten on with business this season, and here we are in the business end of the season, of the business second half of the season, and they are looking aside that could really shake things up.
Got all their players back from injury, looking good. They're gonna take a few teams. They're gonna take a few sculptures the rest of the season. If they can stay fit and keep those players going, they're going to be right up there at the end of the year.
And let's not forget the big London derby. You and I discussed this last week. We certainly were looking forward to it. It promised entertainment. It promised goals. We got goals, 3 of them in total. Arsenal with an important win over Tottenham.
Big win for them. It was a must win. You know, they've been struggling along and got beaten by United in the FA Cup on the weekend, but bounced back and got a good result. My worry here again is the defensive side of things. You know, they're conceding goals. If you looked at Tottenham, they've got major injury worries. If it was any other team that had a more firing attack, Arsenal would have been in big trouble. But good results for them. Keep their place in that top half and pushing for the title. But long way to go. Yeah,
still a long way to go. And of course, there's games to look forward to today. There's one that kicks off. Shortly. Newcastle can't be ignored, of course, from this point on going forward. They're at home to Bournemouth.
Difficult game, you know. Bournemouth have been playing well, but I can't see Newcastle not getting a result. They're firing on all cylinders, getting the goals. I'm going to go for Newcastle win.
And the big question, can Brentford slow down Liverpool?
Yes, they can, especially at Brentford. You know, this is going to be a difficult game. I'll be happy as a Liverpool supporter if we come away with something out of this game. Brentford are very difficult to break down at home. They've been hitting their straps of late, so a difficult game for Liverpool. So.
Arguably my game of the day, Arsenal at home to Aston Villa, who aren't quite hitting the heights of last season, but still a very good team in what's a very competitive league this season.
Been very competitive, Aston Villa as well. You know, they seem to have lost their sparkle over the last few weeks. As we always say, you know, they're in Europe, and that's a big worry if you don't have a big squad. Arsenal have to keep the pressure up. I think a draw's on the card.
I wouldn't put it past Aston Villa get a result out of that. Let's look at what's happening tomorrow. I have to talk about Manchester United. There's been a coaching change, and many would hope with a new coach comes a good batch of results that sees them maybe move upwards. They're moving downwards, 15th last we checked.
Well, he's been there a while now.
And then,
He's been there a while.
Brighton as
Not
well.
a new coach, so he's been there a while. But they be buoyant from the result against Arsenal. We're down to 10 players. They got the result. They fought hard. A difficult game again. You never know which Man United team's going to push in, arrive at this game. So I think because of their victory over Arsenal, we'll push them in the right way.
Against Brighton, even
I know Brighton's
game.
a difficult, it's a difficult game to play, but I think United will have too much for Brighton.
City away to Ipswich Town.
City will
Should be
win.
points for City, yeah.
City will win. Ipswich have been struggling. Though they're fighting, they're playing decent football, but City on a roll again. They'll get the result there.
With Chelsea and the fact that they are thereabouts in the top 4 battle, also in the chasing pack at the top of the league table, they're at home to a Wolves side that's really unpredictable this season.
Wolves are struggling.
Yeah.
They in that fight for relegation against the Chelsea team that we don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is a very, very difficult game to call. I would be leaning towards Chelsea, but I wouldn't put a draw out of the picture either.
And the reason for this would be the youngsters.
The youngsters, exactly. It's difficult, when you got youngsters. And I found in my coaching career that you got to groom them. But when you got a whole bunch of youngsters, it's a different story, So it's a bit difficult. But at the moment, they're doing fairly well. A difficult one to call, but I think Chelsea should edge this one.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's probably the most interesting campaign we've had in England in a long time, with teams such as Newcastle in the running, teams such as Nottingham Forest making a good run for it, Aston Villa having a good season as well, Chelsea back thereabouts, and there's plenty to talk about and plenty to look forward to when I sit next to Shane next week and we break down the game out in England. So we take a short break, come back, and we look at what's happening locally with J.S. Kosana.